Today we're going to talk about the Magic Meerkat control surface for vMix, the CVS100. It's a relatively new controller onto the market, and it has the advantage that it just simply works out of the box. It is powered via USB, so you plug it into your computer, into your PC, and a spare USB port, either a USB 2 or USB 3. You power it on and load the vMix shortcuts, supplied vMix shortcuts, and it just works. So let's take a quick look at the unit itself. And here it is. What you can see here is that the unit is divided into a number of sections. Down the bottom, you have the cut and preview row. Now this is the same as on most control surfaces, broadcast standard control surfaces. The preview row at the bottom, the cut row at the top. There are 12 channels or 12 inputs that can be controlled here. And that's sequentially in vMix, inputs 1 to 12. Of course, you can change the allocation of those within vMix by assigning the shortcut itself to a particular input, tied to a particular input. But if you're setting up a vMix session out of the box, this will operate those first 12. So I can switch from one input to another on this row. I can put things up into preview, and then I can either cut to it using the cut button over here or the take button. Now the take button will actually implement any of the transitions that you see that are configured in this row. So the third row up are all the transitions. And these are the same transitions that come native in vMix, but we can very quickly select the particular transition we want to by hitting this menu, this button. The fourth row, or the fourth grouping, are the overlay or the on-screen display row. And they're sequentially, out of the box again, inputs 13 to 20. So you can configure your titles, your scores, clocks, logos, picture-in-pictures, and so on through here. Now, they're also controlled, that row is also controlled by the downstream key controls, or in vMix they're called the overlay buttons. And there are 4 overlay channels in vMix, 1 to 4, so 4 DSKs or downstream keys. So what I can do is I can assign any of the overlays to a particular channel simply by choosing the channel that I want to go to and then hitting the text, the button that corresponds to the particular input. At the top, you have a row of common functions. Because I'm recording at the moment, you can see that the recording button is live, but I can now turn on external monitors. I can send things off to a full screen. I can fade to black and manage the stream itself. I've also got jog shuttle control or transport controls there for any videos that might be playing there as well, and they're going to control. That's going to control the video that's in the program window, but I can also select it to by turning this last button off here. I can turn it on to control the video that's in the preview window. So it's quite useful. Center section here gives us audio controls. Now this is not an audio mixer, but what it will do is it'll give you control over the master outputs in vMix and individual inputs that you put up into the preview window. So if I wanted to solo a particular input, I could put it into the preview window, hit the solo button, and away we go. So that's really useful. Over on our right-hand side, you've got a T-bar which will allow us to fade between shots. So again, I can just do a straight fade and come back, and of course it allows you to have the control over the speed and so on. So again, fairly standard in all of these. What is not standard, however, is to have an inbuilt PTZ control as well. So down here, I have the ability, again through vMix, once I've configured vMix and this has to be the 4K or the Pro edition of vMix, to connect for PTZ control to a particular camera, I can now control that camera using the 3-axis joystick here as well, and then set up, if I want to, set up a number of presets for those cameras. Now, typically, because you're only going to have a small number of cameras that you're operating, you'll probably set your cameras up as camera 1, camera 2, camera 3 here, and then any of the PTZ, if you've got using PTZ cameras, you'll use the 4 to 12 or however many you've got left to set your PTZ positions as well. That's probably the simplest way to use it. But this is rather useful. So here we can decide where we're controlling the PTZ. Are we controlling it in the preview window? Are we going to control it in the program window? And to disable the camera control, you simply just turn that off and so on. We then have a virtual, we can then control the virtual PTZ functionality of vMix as well. So if you have a 4K input, you can tie it to this, use this button here, and then use the joystick to control that virtual input as well. So simple and easy. But let's have a look at it in operation. Now, what I've done is I have set up vMix with a number of dummy inputs. So if I go to a desktop capture, you can see the screen. So I've got all of these inputs here, and what I'll do is bring up the controller itself so you can see that. So they're just simply images with the titles on there. So if I choose input 1, you'll see that the vMix activator has turned the button red. If I now want to put into preview input 2, I'll set it up in preview, and we can see that we've got that. And if I come across to take, input 1 and input 2 have swapped over, and you can see the lights have reflected that. So we can go all the way through to input 12, and it works exactly that way. Looking at the overlays, if I now come up to the overlay channel, I want to put some titles on here. I'm going to choose overlay channel 1 or the DSK1. And here you can see that I've overlaid this color bar over the top. If I go, I can take it off, go to the next one all the way through, and I've got that control all the way. Of course, what I can do is I could actually go and put one color up, then use another overlay, put another color up. If I go back to the first channel, you can see that light is there. So the overlay is still on. I need to take it off, and away we go. And up here, we'll see it's turned off there as well. So it's replicating, the control surface is replicating everything that we normally see in vMix as well, which is rather useful. How about the PTZ control? Well, and what we're going to do is we're going to put PTZ into preview here as well, so we can actually see that, because at the so the PTZ controller will control the PTZ in either preview or program mode here as well. So you can see here that we're actually set on preview. So on preview, I've now, having made it connect or made the connection within vMix to the particular IP address of that camera, choosing the right protocol, of course, in this particular case, because it's a Bird Dog P100 PTZ. It is going to use Sony Visco over IP as the control, and now I can control all the way through. And because it's a 3-axis joystick, I can also pan and zoom at the same time. And depending on how careful you are with the joystick, you can get quite a smooth result. Now, I would suggest for most people that you would use it in preview mode rather than program mode. I don't know that there's sufficient control without a lot of practice to follow something live, but it works remarkably well. And there we are, a very, very quick look at the Magic Meerkat CVS100 control surface for vMix. Hope you found it useful. We'll catch you next time.